Welcome to the live stream. Yes! Welcome. Oh. I just realized that my overhead cam was not set up correctly, and I thought I would real quick do that for you guys. Wait, set up OBS stream. Is my volume correct? Yeah, it is. It is. Okay. Woo! Professional. Very professional. Very professional. Doink. Doink. One of my favorite things about my new camera setup, I got it like back in January. I got these Sony cameras. They got this app where you can you just put the app on, put the camera on your tablet. So cool. So cool. Now I got the overhead camera. Yeah, let's just zoom that in a little bit. There we go. That's what we're here for. Oh, because hold on a second. I got a little light here. Down light. Oh no, the camera's in the wrong mode. That's the problem. Hold on now. It's got to be in the. I was outside shooting. There we go. Do we need that? A little bit. A little bit extra light. There we go. Okay, and just zoom on in. Get a nice focus. And I know what you're here for. You want to know what watch I'm wearing today? All that! I'm trying to resurrect this watch. This watch, I was the first watch that I bought as an adult when I started realizing there were times when I didn't have my phone on me and I couldn't just pull my phone out and look at the time. Or there was times when it wasn't professional or, be just staring at your phone, checking the time. I bought this watch and I still like it, but I've struggled with what strap to put on. It's a 44 millimeter, so it's kind of big. I want to like it. It's got a really nice stop. It's a quartz, but I don't hold that against it. Got a nice tenth of a second. It's actually not actually tenths of a second. It only stops in between. It only stops on the twos, so it's really a fifth of a second. See, it never stops on the odd numbers, no matter how hard. Oh! Maybe I'm wrong. It just stopped on an odd number. Oh, there you go. I guess it is tenth of a second. So anyway, it's a nice. I just never feel like it looks nice on my wrist. I never just. So today, I put the original. Originally, it came with a blue strap. I put a blue strap on it that I happen to have laying around in hopes that it would resurrect my love for it. And I'm wearing it on the stream just for you. We'll see. Oh, that's the wrong. There we go. Anyway, that's what we're wearing today. Because I know you want to know. I wish it wasn't a 44. If it was a 42. But I see now that they're going for kind of like it's kind of like the Big Pilot. It's not really a Flieger style dial, but they're going for kind of like the Big Pilot look. I don't know. Anyway. I tried to sell it. Chrono 24 says it should go for like $350, which is presumably based on actual sales of actual watches, which is their marketplace. I tried to sell it, and I couldn't even get an offer at like $150. I was like, well, I ain't going lower than that. I guess I'll just wear it. So, let's answer your questions. We're not here to talk about what we kind of are. I kind of am, a little bit. Let's answer your questions about FPV, shall we? It's definitely very different. I assume you're talking about my watch. Yeah. Oh, I'm building my first FPV drone. It's a 3-inch with 1404 motors and a SpeedyBee AIO 405 ESC JBC WXY with a DJI 03 air unit. Will this be a good build for someone that's never built a drone before? Sure. Yeah. I mean, 1404 motors, you didn't say the KV, but I assume you bought. That's all fine. 1404 is fine for a 3-inch. I wouldn't go smaller than 1404, especially if you're trying to stay under 250 grams. That's a good choice, those motors. You'll get better performance out of a little bit bigger motors, but you'll add weight, and a lot of people don't want to do that. SpeedyBee AIO, good. DJI 03 air unit, fine. I mean, you spend a little money, but whatever. Yeah, that's a fine choice. Now, you've never built a drone before, so how are you going to, know what to do? Well, I don't know. That's, this is between you and ChatGPT. Blunty, I've been thinking about whether ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all the AIs, large language models, I've been thinking about whether they're going to basically put me out of business. And I'm torn because the self-interested part of me, I get questions from people and they say, oh, ChatGPT told me X. And I'm like, that's wrong. ChatGPT wasted your time and ruined your day. There's even a couple cases where somebody did something ChatGPT told them and it damaged their, they put voltage where it shouldn't go and it fried their flight controller, their ESC, their video transmitter, etc. But here's the thing. I got into this game, this video game called The Farmer Was Replaced. I showed it on Livestream a little while back. And basically you program a little drone using a computer language very, very much like Python. And you program the drone to harvest crops in a farm field. And it's very simple. And the game is you get to play with programming. I have a degree in computer science. I've never been a programmer professionally, but I've done a lot of programming in my life. Funny story. 12-year-old Joshua was in his bedroom on a computer, a PC, with a Pascal programming book, learning to program. I've been doing programming my whole life, but never professionally. So I got into this game, and it kind of got me started thinking about programming again. And I started playing with a couple other programming tasks that I had kind of like had bouncing around in my head. And I went to Claude because Blunty, I started addressing you at the beginning of this story, then I kind of went off on a tear, but I'm still addressing you. Blunty, you told me you've been using Claude to do programming stuff recently, and it's been very, very good.
Yes.
Specifically at writing code.
Yes, absolutely.
And I found it very good. Like, the things I asked it to do, it just did. And I was like, holy shit. So then I was like, okay. I'm not going to be an old, you kids won't always have a calculator in your pocket. I'm not going to be an old person who just rejects new tech. I'm going to try harder to use AI to solve problems. And I have actually found it to be very, very helpful. Now, sometimes it's completely wrong. But as long as you're aware that it could be feeding you completely wrong information and you just apply a little bit of common sense and you don't just like step off a cliff because it told you to, and I'm like, is it going to put me out of work? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, like, ultimately,
okay.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think that the issue is there are two unsolvable problems for LLMs currently for FPV solutions and for things like FPV. Okay, the reason coding works is because you can hit a button and test it.
Right. And the price of testing it is zero. If the code is wrong, then it just doesn't compile or it spits out the wrong result, and you're just like, oh, that didn't work. Control Z, right?
Correct. Yeah. So the issue is that with FPV you can't do that. Right, with FPV, you're making decisions, and those decisions are sometimes unreversible in a way they're not on the computer. Now, also, if you give Claude access to like your hard drive, it can also accidentally remove whole folders or drives, right?
Never do that.
If you let it run bash commands, that has happened to people where it deletes an entire project or whatever, right? Commits something to the wrong thing and removes like all the Git history, stuff like that, right? But by and large, it's non-destructive. So if it does something wrong, you just go, nope, you got that wrong. I had this error in the console. Please fix it. And it goes, oh, you're right. But the issue with FPV is you can't necessarily do that. The other problem is that, and so this is a basic idea of LLMs. The hallucination is going to be there because you don't have other pieces to fix the hallucinations, right? You're just responding when that's token prediction. As far as we know, hallucinations are part of the game. They've done things like thought and tools and like all these different tools to try to fix that and solve solutions. But as far as we know, right now, there are people writing papers on it. Hallucinations are unsolvable, right? So as far as we know, if that's going to continue, I don't think it's usable. The other problem is, if it is solvable, it's solvable through a lot of specific training that doesn't exist in the same way it exists for other hobbies.
That's a great point.
Because of the wealth of training information. Even if you only trained with that data and did train with other data or trained with general data in such a way as you fine-tune the model to be only FPV specific. I think the problem is you have a lot of version histories. You have a lot of other things. Like Claude is really good at Python, for instance. And why is that? Because 90-something%, like a sort of ridiculous amount of code on the internet, especially beginner code, things on Stack Overflow, right? Questions answered on Stack Overflow are commonly Python. So it's really good at Python. Right? And because it has a lot of Python history, but it doesn't have a lot of specific this version of Betaflight history. It doesn't have a lot of reference to this versions of Betaflight. If you go on Betaflight's website right now, there's just not documentation for some of the new features. It doesn't exist. Yeah. Right? The AI can't know that. It doesn't know that. There's no training for it. Even if you train on the new stuff right now, it doesn't exist. You have to have a person who's interpreting that. Somebody could write that up, put it into the model, and add it to some kind of fine tuning for a model for it. You know what I mean? But that's where I'm coming from, right? Like, coding is a language, and you're interpreting the language to do things, and you can test it on the fly. And things like FPV, you can't do that with. It can be a very helpful thing to get somebody through things. It can lead you down weird roads. And currently, the hallucinations happen enough where I don't recommend most people use it, because you have to know enough to get through the hallucinations and figure out what you're trying to get to.
When you're using it for troubleshooting a physical phenomena, for one thing, it takes longer to iterate a wrong solution. If it says solder X to Y and plug this, but it's going to take you 15 minutes to do all the soldering, whereas with code, it's relatively easy to copy paste the code, or try it, see if it works. And the other thing is the training data is much larger for code. Crom points this out in the Discord. There's a huge amount of training data for code. There's not a huge amount of training data for Betaflight. That being said, I mean, I hear people, I really should do this as a video. I just never get around to it. Now it's winter and I kind of don't want to go outside and fly. Like, people say that ChatGPT can do black box PID tuning. And I'm like, I want to do it. I really should do this. Every time this comes up, I have this idea, and then it goes right out of my mind. I want to make a drone and just take all the sliders and put them at 0. And then feed it to ChatGPT at the black box log and go, what do you think? What should I do? Because people say, oh, ChatGPT tuned my drone so good. And kind of there's a part of me where I'm like, did it just like randomly spit some numbers out and it turns out like you like it? I don't know. I had a situation. This is one of my recent situations. I sure hope there's no embarrassing things in their collapse menu. Okay. I had this problem recently. This was just a couple days ago. I don't know what happened. Windows updated or something. All my fans are running at full speed. But they were running normally in BIOS. And, long story short, ChatGPT steered me down some wrong answers. Right? Like, it was like, no, you can't be at 111C. That's not possible. Right? So, it's like, okay, you're reading some bad sensors. Just ignore those sensors. It told me to download a different software. Okay? Your temperatures are okay. Right? And then, long story short, it was like, hey, do you have one of these apps? You have a Main Gear computer? Do you have the Main Gear fan app? Which I didn't even... Oh, sorry, no, wrong one. Main Gear, Asus. What did it give me? It told me a fan app that I didn't know I had. In fact, I'm going to guess the ASRock motherboard utility, maybe? I don't know what I removed. The A tuning. There we go. I don't know where it came from. I never installed it, and I don't think it used to be there, but whatever. I installed it, and it fixed the problem. I was like, well, damn. If I were a PC guy, I'd be like, yeah, so you kids, stop going to AI. You're ruining my job. But it solved my problem, and I didn't break anything, so. Anyway. In the meantime, we're just going to keep answering questions. Yeah, Blinty.
Just in general, I think there's some people in chat talking about training or putting the Betaflight code into context, or like training the code into beta. Like the issues with these kind of things are that you have a limited amount of token context, and then so you're doing things to juggle context. If you've done any large projects at all, you're trying to juggle context. 200K context, which is what Claude has. I think actually you can do more now with Sonnet maybe, but 200K is like the main context window. Even up to 1 million, you can't fit entire projects in there. You can fit some of a project. And the problem is when you get down to the bottom of the context, you get really messy because it starts to attribute everything in the context similarly, and then it starts to hallucinate weird things from the beginning of the context that it forgets that it did, or it'll go back and forth over things because they have the same weight sort of in its context, stuff like that. So I don't know. Anyway, I've just done a lot of stuff like that. I think you really would need some kind of plain text summary of how all the features work in each version, and that would really help, right? And then I could just refer to that only. You can do things in a system prompt with the local AI and say, only refer to things that are not, that have references. And then if you have a reference, put this star next to it, and then you can look for those stars and that sort of thing. You can do weird games with it like that. But all right, anyway.
All right. Always fun to talk about AI. Sparks conversation. I've been impressed with some of the things it's done for me, and it's been better. It's been better at Google than Googling or web searching in some ways because I can describe the problem in a conversational way. When I do a web search for a topic, I try to take my conversational and I try to mentally isolate the keywords and try and come up, and that's a skill in and of itself that some like I've noticed some younger people don't have, the ability to take your query and parse it into keywords that you can search for to get the result you want. But with AI, and then it kind of does an intelligent, sometimes web search that gives you a good result. Anyway. Jimmy the Cow wants to know, I have some HDLRC hammer antennas on various drones running 400 milliwatt hours. No milliwatts, just milliwatts. But we'll forgive that. I only get about 50 feet of range. Fox ear, right hand, polarized on the quad. Great range. Are the hammer ones for high power? These antennas are all going to do fine with the amount of power that your VTX will put through them. It sounds like those are bad antennas for you. So here's the thing. You put a different antenna on the exact same quad and you get good results. Well, the quad is fine and your goggles are fine. It's clearly the hammer. Or the antenna. It's clearly the antenna. Now, is there something wrong with your antenna? Is there something wrong with the HDLRC hammer in general? I don't know. And frankly, if I were you, I wouldn't care. I tested this antenna. I got shitty range. I tested a different antenna. I got great range. I'm going to throw this antenna in the trash and never use it again. Now, that's not Joshua Bardwell bad-mouthing this antenna. I don't know anything about this antenna. I've never used it. It might be a good antenna. You might have just got unlucky. But if I think you said you had more than one of them. If I had 2 or 3 of the same antenna, and you said I have some. That's at least 2. If I bought 2 or 3 of the same antenna, got terrible range, swapped to a different antenna, got great range, I would throw those antennas in the trash. I would say this thing's a piece of garbage, and I would never buy it again. And I would never think about it again, except if somebody brought it up in conversation to say that antenna sucks, don't use it. And I will say this. I know a guy whose opinion I trust very, very much. And he says, CNHL Speedy Pizza batteries suck. He hates them. And I'm like, well, Chris Rosser tested them and they did pretty good. And I don't argue with him because I respect his opinion. But sometimes you'll have a bad experience with a product and it will lead you to just write that product off and say it sucks. Don't use it. And somebody else might have a different experience, but that's just life. So I don't know. It's nothing to do with the power handling. They even say an antenna does have a maximum power handling spec because ultimately it's passing electrical energy, electrical current. And so it will eventually overheat and melt if you push too much power into it. HDLRC says the maximum input power is 50 watts for this antenna. Whatever it is, that could be just a made-up spec. We're just pushing 400 milliwatts, 1 watt. That's not that much power. It's not that it can't handle the power. It's something else. Should I get a better radio or upgrade my quad first? I don't know. What radio do you have, Colton? What radio do you have? The thing is, even if you've got a relatively inexpensive radio like the Radiomaster Pocket, it'd still get the job done. I probably would buy a new quad before I bought a new radio. But if you've already got 3 or 4 quads and you're happy with them, maybe you want to buy the radio. Do you need a special 65mm whoop frame to do a 2-board build? Or is there a good way to mount another board to the short standoffs on the Mobula 6 frame? No, why? No, don't do that. Why do you want to do that? Just use an all-in-one. There's a reason everyone uses an all-in-one. What is your motivation? Don't use that frame. If you want to do a very small dual board build, I don't think you should use that frame. I don't know what frame you should use. Maybe for the 04 Lite? Maybe. Maybe. Like if you look at the frames designed for a two-board solution like the 04 Lite, please tell me you're not trying to run a separate ESC and flight controller is all. I'll be offended. If you look at the frames designed for two boards, like the Firefly 1.6, they're going to have, a lot of times, they're going to, now this is not a 65 millimeter. They don't get that small. But they're going to have carbon fiber. They're going to be, they have the screws for standoffs and so forth. Can you do that on like a plastic Mobula 6 frame? I think it's pretty debatable. So here's one. That's the Mobula 8 with DJI. But you see, they're not mounting. It's a custom frame. Here is the Mobula 6 HDZero. Now this is I think I actually have this. Do I have this? We can actually look at it. God damn. Would you look at that? Oh my goodness. Ha! See, I knew it was worthwhile to do the overhead cam today. Not just to show off my watch. How have they done it? This looks like a pretty standard Mobula 6 frame. And yeah, it sure looks like they've just got some extra long screws. Right? No, it's not screws. It's not screws, it's plastic. Oh. And screws going down through the top. Okay. So what I would do, if you want to do a dual board solution, is I would buy this frame, the Happy Model Mobula 6 HDZero frame. I would emulate this, because at least it seems to be designed for that purpose. There you go. Just so happens I have this quadcopter sitting around. Anybody want to buy this? I'm gonna sell this. I got a lighter one anyway. It's broken. My son crashed it. I should sell this. I'll probably never fly this again. I got the oh yeah, here it is. So I got this doohickey here. This is also HDZero, but it's lighter. That's the one you want. It's broken because my son, my older son, who I talked yesterday on the stream about how he was insanely good at drones on the simulator immediately because he had experience in battlefield flying helicopters or whatever. He just immediately could fly a drone in the sim. So I eventually took him outside and let him fly that one. He did great. But real life is a little different than the sim. There's no reset button. He did eventually crash it. And it broke. So we got to reprint that canopy. Anyway. Yeah, so, yeah, I think you would need a special frame because it looks like the little studs that go up through the flight controller, they're designed to be a certain length. But that's the frame I would have you go with. Here's one being put out on the Discord by Roborito, the Sub 250 Nimble 6504, another dual stack 65 millimeter. Sub 250 Nimble 65. I don't think you should build a I don't think you should build a 65 millimeter 04 personally. I think it's too heavy. It's going to fly like shit, but that's between you and your batteries. Let's knock out a couple super chats that have come in. Thoughts on HDZero's new AIO? Yeah, HDZero just released a new all-in-one today. Let's see if we can find it. I'm guessing it's on the website. Ryan Quellet did a video release. Let's go to shop. Like, surely it's going to be for sale, right? The Gamma 45. There we go. HDZero's new Gamma 45 HD Ready all-in-one. Very, very cool. 45 amp AM32 ESC. Express LRS receiver built in. G4 MCU, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's a serial receiver instead of SPI. Yes, that's better for the customer. It's easier to work with. Highly approve. 8-volt 3-amp BEC. And I believe HDZero when they say it's a 3-amp BEC that it actually will run at 3 amps. A lot of manufacturers, they're a little bit ambitious about the specs of their BECs. Their voltage regulators. So 3 amps is more than enough to power just about anything. Secondary 5-volt 3-amp BEC for LEDs and peripherals. Very nice specs. 32-bit AM32 ESC. And 45 amp with 60 amp burst. Again, I probably believe that. They know what they're doing with the design of flight controllers and ESCs. They tend to make very good quality stuff. So, if my needs fit in that 45 amp spec, I would be looking at this one seriously. $80, not bad. And it's like 90 bucks in the US because of import taxes and stuff. Thank you for $2 from $2 Canadian from Rick Sanchez. Are there any real positives for not using Airmode? Yes. When would you turn Airmode off? So first of all, in case people don't know what Airmode is on all the time by default in Betaflight. So you're probably using it. If you've never turned it off, you're using it. You don't know. Airmode stabilizes the quad at 0 throttle. So without Airmode, and you could try this, you could turn it off. It's in the configuration tab. If you punch out and you go to 0 throttle, the quad won't like just tumble, but it'll kind of go, it'll kind of lean. So you're going to do a split S over something. You punch out, you flip upside down, you chop throttle to 0, and the quad kind of goes. It just kind of like rolls out a little bit. With Airmode, it stays locked in and holds its attitude. The problem with Airmode is that when you touch something external to the quad reacts more violently. So the classic place where you want to turn Airmode off is if you're trying to do a perch. You're trying to like perch on top of a light post or something, or land on a ledge. And if you have Airmode turned on, it'll kind of bounce off and it won't want to just settle. Or if you're trying to do a landing and you touch down and you don't disarm as soon as you touch down, the quad will kind of goes dun, 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 dun. And if you turn Airmode off, that won't happen. So the classic place to turn Airmode off is if you're trying to do a perch and you want to like really just. I'll also say there was a time when Drew Camden, Ladrib, back when I was going on Rotor Riot trips a lot, he wanted to get his quad to do slides and grinds. So he could like grind on a rail. He used to be a skateboarder back in the day, and he wanted to like have his quad do a grind on a rail. And he had Airmode on a switch, so he could turn Airmode off and grind on the rail, because with Airmode on, it would pop off. So that's when you might want to turn Airmode off. Serafinado, thank you for $5. I'm trying to learn how to tune my micros with black box, but it's so confusing. Any pointers to make it easier on me? Not really. Chris Rosser's PID tuning guide is where I would go, but the reality is that you very quickly, there are some general guidelines, right? And Chris Rosser's PID tuning guide is where I would start. And once you get past these very general guidelines, like, turn your filters down, whatever, you get deep in the weeds. and you there aren't really shortcuts. You just have to know how to understand what the PID controller is doing, and then adjust it. The next place to go after Chris Rosser's PID tuning guide, the next place to go is an app called PID Toolbox. And PID Toolbox is deeper in the weeds. Like it's not Wavetops level, but it is still a procedure you can kind of follow. So what you want to do, first of all, you want to go to Patreon. So the most recent versions of PID Toolbox are only available on if you sign up for his Patreon. It's not that expensive, and you can, if you want to, you can sign up for 1 month, download it, and then unsub. Like, I'm not saying you should do that. Like, support him and all the support he deserves. But you know, just saying, you don't have to sign up forever. Is this my understanding? You can also use the original PID Toolbox, which he's basically stopped developing, but which still actually like it's still functional. But then what you do is you go to his YouTube channel, the PID Toolbox YouTube channel, and this guy's name is Brian White, and you start learning from him about how to use PID Toolbox to PID tune. And the advantage of PID Toolbox is that you're not just looking at lines in the black box trace and like not knowing what they mean. PID Toolbox gives you some graphs to look at, and you're like, I want to make this line look like that line. Okay? But it's a commitment. So like, for example, you can see I've watched this one, Betaflight 4.5 tuning workflow using PID Toolbox. You know? And here's basement tuning. But really you could just start, like, it's just a whole process. Like, what is iTerm related overshoot? You know? What are noisy step response traces? Like, you start and you just dive in. Honestly, I wouldn't blame you if you were just like, I just want to go fly my drone, and decided it wasn't worth it. Okay. Shoot FPV, thank you for $5. It seems like HDZero is really ramping up the diversity of their products. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, I think it's great. I think that Ryan Quellet deserves credit for some of this. I don't know anything about the internals of HDZero's operations, and I certainly wouldn't want to credit him with something if somebody else deserved that credit. But Ryan Quellet was brought on as, is he like president of United States operations? I'm not sure what his exact title is, but he was, for a long time, he was the sort of unofficial HDZero helper guy in the United States. And it would be an insult to call him an influencer, but he made content about HDZero, and he did a lot of testing and design, and he also put out, promotional content, review content, test content about HDZero. And eventually Carl hired him as an executive level. And since then, we've seen these new products coming out, and I have to wonder how much of that is him sort of pushing the ship that direction. If so, I think it's a great move. I think that if HDZero were to say, we're only going to make video transmitters and goggles and nothing else, then I think that they can do better by building a bigger ecosystem and a broader ecosystem, and people will be like, this HDZero company's all right. Oh, they have a video system too? Like, it's like when people say, oh, you're the guy with that yard on Liftoff. And I'm like, I came first. My yard came first. Liftoff came second. But they never heard of me until they had played on my yard in Liftoff, but they'd never actually watched my videos. So like, people may be like, oh, HDZero, they make that flight controller that I like. Oh, they make a video system too. It's backwards from how it should be, but sometimes that's how the world is. So yeah, I think it's great. Are we going to see a bind and fly kit drone from HDZero? I would guess no. I would guess that they are going to keep doing partnerships with other manufacturers rather than commit to making a whole drone all themselves. Thank you for $5 Maverick FPV. I've bought the Darwin FPV Baby Ape kit with goggles and radio and own an Air 75. Where should I go from here? You've got the Baby Ape, you've got the Air 75. You're buying small drones. Should you buy a 3-inch? Is the Baby Ape a 3-inch or a 2-inch? The Baby Ape is 3-inch. I think it's a 3. It looks like a 3-inch. Yes, it's a 3-inch. That's a good one. So maybe it's time to go up to a 5-inch, right? Yeah, buy a 5-inch. You got a 75 millimeter. You got a 3-inch. You need a 5-inch. Thank you, Deadshot, for your $1 Canadian donation. Money at B Money FPV. Thanks for a $5 super chat. Remember when you used to get lost in the woods at night or forget about us in your fridge? I do remember. A lot of you guys probably... Do I still... I bet you. Hold on. Excuse me. Ha 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 ha! I used to put these at the end of my videos with the cards over them. Oh, hang on. What are you still doing here? The video's over. Do you watch all the videos all the way to the end? Wow. You are a super fan. Thank you. That actually helps the channel a lot when you watch the videos all the way to the end. YouTube loves that. You know what else YouTube loves? When you subscribe. Or when you... Do you see this baby? Oh, man.
Isn't he cute?
He's 6 years old now.
Hit the subscribe button. Join my
Look at him. Look
Use
at
my
him.
affiliate links. Or just keep watching videos. That's better than nothing.
Google Gaga, subscribe to my daddy.
What a cutie pie.
What are you doing in here? The least you could do is subscribe or join my Patreon or just here's another video.
Look at all my
I
hot
picked out for
sauces
you.
up here. That's great.
Jeez.
What is this?
Patrons are the people who make all this possible.
I didn't use this one very much.
Not to disrespect you, because you're watching all the way to the end, which really helps the analytics. So I guess without you watching, none of this would be possible. But if you would subscribe or join my Patreon, $2 a month or more, it's up to you. Or at the very least, leave a comment or click the affiliate links and do the show. Isn't it a beautiful day? Oh, man, the lighting looks good out here. What's up, y'all? I'm for a
Oh, I never used this next one.
You guys, I don't know where I am, and I don't know what's going to happen, but if I don't make it out of this, I just want to know that you subscribe to my channel, or maybe join my Patreon, or click one of these videos I picked out for you.
That was a good one. I never used this one. You've never seen this. This is the first time anyone's ever seen this, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I ever used this.
No more range tests. No more range tests.
I'm not sure I edited this correctly.
Tony, Trappy, no.
Yeah, this is 2 minutes 45 seconds. This is just raw footage. I never edited this down.
No more range tests. No, I don't want to do another range test.
Yeah, this is just raw. These are just me trying to get the get it right.
Oh.
That's funny. Do I actually turn the lights on? I'm sure I turned the lights on at some point.
No more range tests.
I'm not sure what I thought was like better or worse about some of these lines. Like, what was I going for?
How many cells does it have? I want to review it.
Pretty sure I'm in a hotel.
What are you doing here? Just get out of here. Go subscribe to the video on your way out and join my Patreon or whatever. This is not a patron benefit, though.
Yeah, I think I see why we didn't use that one. It was kind of, I don't know. The lighting wasn't good, that's for sure. And then this was my first end card. Look at that. Look how long ago that was. I had the garden up. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. It was spring. That tree doesn't exist anymore. That tree doesn't exist anymore. The neighbors put a driveway in and cut it down. Yeah. Well, it's weird having so many old videos of your house. See all the stuff that changed. Yeah, back when we all enjoyed FPV. Yeah. It's kind of, there's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. There's simpler time. It was a simpler time, that's for sure. In a lot of ways. Anyway. ECast23 Off-Road, thank you for a $5 super chat. I bought the Mark V 04 Wide X, no GPS. Tried to add one UART 5. Barrow stopped working. Can't get it to recognize the GPS. Well, first thing to do is, so like, there can be a conflict sometimes between an I2C peripheral like the barometer and some of the UARTs. So when you enable the UART, like the Barrow stops working. But if you disable the UART, the Barrow should go back to working, I would think. Yeah. If not, the only thing I can think to do is to reload an old CLI dump, because that should really fix it. There's everything like the I2C configuration, the UART configuration, that should all be contained in the CLI dump. So, yeah. Yeah, so try a different UART. Like maybe UART 5 conflicts with the barometer in some way. Try a different UART. That's what I would do. I mean, I would say it was a simpler time for me because, yeah, I'm not sure how to put it. It was a simpler time because, I don't know. I look at that video and I'm like, the freestyle, like the flying is so mediocre. Like I'm not like putting myself down, but just like objectively, like it, for me, it was the best I could do in that moment. I wasn't like, you know, he was just like, I'm just going to fly some mediocre flight with a couple like loops around my yard, put some music to it and publish it. And let's see, what do we got? How many views do we got? 10,000 views. You know, it was simpler in that way. Like things were simpler. You know, now everything is hard. Kudos to Skydozer for remembering the wooden camera mount that I made when I didn't have a 3D printer or a block of foam. Yeah. But I wasn't just flying to fly. I mean, I was well into my YouTube career at that time. I was absolutely flying for clicks or jobs, you know, but yeah. Anyway. How hard are you on your Whoop batteries? I'm assuming you use high volt. Yes. If you're doing Whoop batteries, 1S, 300 milliamp hours, that size, you absolutely have to charge them to 4.35 volts or they're just useless. Don't land them right at 3.5. No, I run them down to 3.1. Again, the little 270 milliamp hour, 350 milliamp hour, one cell batteries, you have to run them down to like 3.0, 3.1. You have to run them all the way down or you just get shitty flight time. The other thing is a lot of times there's sag. And so they'll sag from 3.5 to 3.2. And if you don't run them down, like you'll run them down to 3.0 and then you'll back off the throttle and they'll come up to 3.2 and you're like, okay, we're good. You have to run them all the way to the limit. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how hard I am on them. Thank you, Lexington Page, for a $5 super chat. Can I add pit mode to my analog VTX table? No. No. So, here's what I like to say. VTX tables are descriptive, not proscriptive. Okay? This is almost always true, okay? Generally, the VTX table tells Betaflight what the VTX is capable of doing, which then leads you to think, and I've fallen for this in the past and it's bit me. That's how I know that this is the case. It leads you to think, well, if I just go to my video transmitter tab, there's no video transmitter tab in the, for real? There's no video transmitter tab in the virtual one, so I have to plug an actual flight controller in. Hold on. Okay, this one doesn't, oh, there it went. Hang on. Come on. Wake up. Wake up. There we go. Go to the video transmitter tab. Okay. Presets. Let me load a preset. Annoying. So if I load this preset, there we go. Oh, shut up. And then we go to the video transmitter tab, which leads people to think that if they just modify, gracious sakes, the contents of this table, like they can, oh, you know what? This video transmitter only goes up to 800 milliwatts. Guess what? Well, I'm going to make it go to 1 watt. Or whatever, right? That's not how it works. Okay? You couldn't even say, well, okay, this video transmitter does 25, 100, 500, 800 milliwatts. Well, guess what? I want it to do 23. I want it to do 200 milliwatts. Nope. It's not how it works. Now, some video transmitters will attempt to give you what you're asking for. Very rarely, but I do want to acknowledge that it exists. I'm pretty sure that OpenVTX, if you give it a random power level, it will like jump back and forth between two power levels to try to approximate the power level you asked for. This is very, very unusual. Generally, if you do this, if you pick a power level that the video transmitter doesn't support, it just goes to 25 milliwatts, and it's like, I don't know what to do with that. And likewise here in the frequencies, you generally can't just put a random frequency in and have it go to that frequency. In fact, sometimes if you even change the order of these bands, like what if I want race band to be here and A band to be here? That doesn't work. The video transmitter just like doesn't give you the expected results. So the thing to take from this, VTX tables are descriptive. They tell the flight controller what the VTX can do. They are not proscriptive. They do not tell the video transmitter what you want it to do. And if you deviate, then you usually won't get the results that you want. In other words, you cannot add pit mode to the VTX table. You generally can't modify the VTX table at all without changing the firmware in the video transmitter, which you're not going to do. Where are people getting AIOs for a toothpick build that ships from the USA? I want a 20 amp board. Thank you for $5 from Big F Hands. Ships from the USA. The first place I would go if you're looking for a toothpick board that ships from the USA is Newbie Drone. Newbie Drone ships from the USA. They manufacture and they're a USA-based company, and they focus a lot on micros and so forth. Now, will they have a toothpick board? Let's find out. Drone parts, FC and ESC. That is an ESC alone. That's not an all-in-one. Can I look for an all-in-one? Yes, I can. Type all-in. Look, they have 22 all-in-ones. See, I knew this was the right place to go. SpeedyB F405 all-in-one. Do we have a choice for in stock? Yes, okay, in stock. Is not in stock. Okay, what is in stock? Let's see, it's 20 amp ESC minimum. 5 amp ESC, no. 12 amp ESC. Flywood with a 12 amp ESC. It's getting there. FetTech Infinity G4 flight controller, 45 amp ESC. Now that's going to be FetTech. If you wanted to run Betaflight, that may not be for you, but here's a newbie drone FetTech Infinity AIO G4, only $150. Flight controller and ESC. Yes, Blunty.
HDZero has a US website, and they have the Gamma. I don't know if that's too heavy, but it is an option.
Okay, we'll check that out. Diatone Mamba 40 amp G4. It's a D-Shot 2400. That makes me think this is also KISS Ultra or FetTech, not Betaflight. Yeah, Target Alpha. So that's also KISS. If you wanted Betaflight, that wouldn't work for you. 55 amp AIO from Neutron RC. $140. That would technically work. And then let's see. HDZero USA store. HDZero has a separate shop for the USA because the prices are different because we have tariffs now. De minimis? I hardly know her. It's not a good joke. I need a better punchline for that joke. Yeah, $90 for the HDZero Gamma 45 amp ready, ELRS built in. Sounds good for a toothpick. Get a nice little 3-inch toothpick. As long as you're not trying to do 1S. So are you trying to do a 1S toothpick? I'm guessing you're not. But I'm guessing this only takes 2S minimum. Or maybe 3S. Let's see. Show me 3 to 6S. Yeah, sadly, this only goes down to 3S. So if you're trying to build like a 1S or 2S toothpick, this isn't going to work for you. I guess that's going to be the same thing for any of these, though. The Neutron RC goes down to voltage 2S. The Neutron RC goes down to 2S. So there you go. Anyway, ships. Oh, and I should probably fine. We'll look at race day quads and get FPV too. Why should Newbie Drone get all the fun? Electronics, stacks, and AIOs. All-in-ones, 25 by 25 all-in-ones. That's what we're looking for. And then we want in stock. No, can't do that. Doesn't see the option. Again, are these all in stock? Well, that'd be great. 2 to 4S with a 20 amp ESC. Hello. Now that's got the motor plugs. It also has solder pads. This may be what you're looking for if you're looking for like a little 2S, a little more lightweight. All-in-one. Luminaire Lux HD G4. Flywoo Goku. Yeah, there's tons of choices. Okay, so like, I'm kind of like confused. Like here at Race Day Quads, which is one of, if not the most popular FPV stores in the USA, just like a plethora of available options. So like, is there some reason like, oh, no, I needed to have 1S input or something? Have I missed something? Because it seems like there's a ton of options. Anyway. There you go. Yeah, don't use the motor plugs on that Happy model. Just solder it. Dean Coleman, thank you for a $20 super chat. Very generous super chat. Really appreciate it. I have an Air 65 Meteor 75 Pro analog VR03 and controller 3. I usually fly in my backyard and local parks. I'm looking for better video quality. Maybe digital, not really sure. Your Learn to Fly videos were my teacher. Here's the thing. The VR03 goggles are the weak spot there. Okay? That's the weak spot. I'm not going to promise you that if you get better goggles, you'll get radically better range. Ultimately, you know, the Air 65 is only putting out, I mean, it might go up to 400 milliwatts technically, but it probably isn't really putting out 400 milliwatts. So ultimately, those small drones are only going to have video transmitters that put out so much power, and the antennas tend to be like very small and crappy. So, yeah. But if you get better goggles, then you will know for sure that your goggles aren't holding you back. And the VRO3 are not like the best. They're not spectacular. They're okay. They're not spectacular. When do us patrons get the Feet Finder link? The Feet Finder link. Haha. I have a buddy who jokes, except he's not joking, that I should do an OnlyFans, a FPV feet-related OnlyFans, where I post pictures of me interacting with FPV objects with my feet. And he says it as a joke. He's like, you should just do it as a joke. And like, you should just publish, like, you know, just do it for a week. And he's like, you would make so much money. People would sign up just as a lark. And I'm like, first of all, no. And second of all, I don't think that many people would sign up. I think they would just be like, that's weird. Anyway. Thank you for a $5 super chat from Scott Perry. Have you seen or tested the Rate FPV 04 Lite wide-angle lens? It's not 3D printed and is 145 versus Flywoo's 155. Thoughts? It's on AliExpress. I have not. I do have the Flywoo lens. What's the Rate FPV? Rate FPV. So here is, hang on. Is this it? What's this? I should test this. That's the Flywoo. Okay, I have that. Rate FPV. Oh, here we go. AliExpress. Sadly, I'm going to have to wait for AliExpress to ship it to me. It's going to take a million years. Lens heatsink, aluminum parts, wide-angle lens 145. I guess I should buy it. Is it available in the USA, or do I have to buy it from AliExpress? It would be nice if I could get it faster. It seems like I cannot get it faster. Oh well. Okay. No, I haven't tried it. Payment method, PayPal, Google Pay. I'd like to use... Oh, it never works, though. PayPal is the only thing I can use to buy off of AliExpress. I don't know why, but my credit cards and my Google Pay always fails. More options. Back. No, don't log in. Don't log in. Oh. Try another one. No, change. JB adjust. No, don't use my passkey. I want to log in with my password. Jesus. PayPal Business doesn't let you use passkeys to log in. PayPal Personal does. So I have one PayPal login that has a passkey and one that doesn't. And then it's like, it's annoying. Okay, I have purchased that, and we will see. We'll see how that goes. Crom, what's the best lens mod? What's the best wide-angle lens mod? Crom has
Yes,
one for
I
me.
do like small drones. I don't have a problem. You have a problem. Earlier this year, DJI released the O4A unit. And it's really nice, but it has two major flaws. The first one is durability. And for that one, I don't have a solution for you. The second one is the FOV. And for this one, I have a nice solution for you. I'm Crom.
How do I get it in French? Ici. Can you not do dual soundtracks, Crom? Have they not unlocked that for you? You shouldn't have to upload the video twice.
Alors oui,
Yeah, I don't
j'aime
think he said he
bien...
doesn't have permission to do it. Like, it doesn't...
Wait.
Ah non, j'ai pas...
Is he recording it 2 times? Are you literally recording the video
Yes,
twice?
I do like small drones.
No, the lips match. He's literally recording this twice. Jesus Crom. Wow. I mean, I understand you would have to do it twice, but to literally... Does that mean you script your
Alors
videos?
oui, j'aime bien les petits drones. Ah non, j'ai pas de problème. C'est toi qui as un problème. En début d'année, DJI nous a sorti le O4. C'est sympa, mais ça a 2 gros défauts. Le premier...
So what's the mod? Décolletage. Décollage. Oh, whoops. I thought it was a much more interesting word. I have to superglue it.
Donc ici, je tourne la
focus,
lentille
yeah.
jusqu'à que je vois net. Voilà, il ne reste plus qu'à coller ça sur
Oh,
ça.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Yeah. Thank you, Dean Kosler, for $50. That's an extremely generous super chat. Your video helped me unbrick my very first air unit, and for that I thank you. Well, thank you for the donation. I'm very glad the video helped. Oh, all right. Oh, Brandon Beans, going back to the question about the barometer stopping working when you activated the gyro, the GPS. Does the GPS have a compass that maybe interferes with the baro? That is true. The baro and the compass both use I2C interface, and so maybe they would interfere in some way. Well, you should be able to have multiple devices on the same I2C interface. So that's weird. It should work, but you know sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, Plenty.
There's like some issue where like they all have specific identifier numbers or something, right? I remember running into this where like sometimes they'll try to use the same ID and then like you have to manually change it or something. I remember running into this like because when they're built into the board, they have a specific ID that's like I can't. It's rough. It's been a couple years since I've dealt with it. I'm trying to remember exactly the pieces of it, but I just remember having to go in and change the I2C address, like not the 1234, but like the 30 number, like the the 2-digit number, whatever that number is, the address. Or
is that in the CLI?
Yes.
Does it? I've tried to do things like that, and it just breaks things. So clearly I'm doing it wrong, but...
Yeah, it's very specific to the hardware. I think that was the problem.
It
should be able to like auto ID.
Get I2C. All right. Get I2C. Let me zoom in here. Like
the address, not the device. So if you set address to 0, it's supposed to automatically try to find it. But there was some conflict on a board I was helping with where like... the address from the manufacturer was like conflicting with the address of another device, and so it was seeing both at the same time or something.
So you're saying
I can't remember.
I might be able to do set baro _ I2C address equals and like
right,
do
but you
something
have to
else.
know. Like I found some.
You can't
guide
just
somebody
pick a
had
number.
written. Right, I found some guide somebody had written that was like, oh, this one is 82, and you have to set this value so that it could work or something like that.
Oh, hang on a second. What UART? So let me give it real information. What UART might I connect? I think a UART 4 would be used for the GPS. Yeah, UART 4. This is a true statement. This is absolutely true. Although that is not the case for UART 4 on the JBF 7. It is the case for UART 3, but not 4. UART 3 cannot be used while I2C is used. So it doesn't know. Oh, well, that's not helpful. No, this would tell you that UART 3 is shared with an I2C device. But it doesn't make the... basically, UART 3 stops working when you install a compass on the I2C pads, but the barometer shouldn't stop working. Try a different UART. Not bad advice. Reassigning Baro SPI CS. Is that a real resource? I will give a 1 gold star to Gemini if Baro SPI CS is not a hallucination. Whoops, wrong. Oh, no, what am I doing? Looking for Baro. Hello. Oh, that's all of them. I do not see it. That is a pure hallucination. Damn, you were so close. You were so close. Gyro CS is real. Oh, maybe it's because barometer is not active. Why is barometer not active? This board has a barometer on it, I think. I guess I should know. Where is my... Oh, here's my SpeedDB. Let's try my SpeedDB. Somewhere there's a USB port on this. Yeah, there it is. A different flight controller. Do we have a Baro? Yes, we do. Nope. Nope. That is not... Sorry, you hallucinated that. Reassign serial. You also cannot remap UARTs. You cannot remap serial TX4 to another pin. UARTs are locked to their pins. You can remap soft serial. So this whole thing just would not work. So... Anyway. Okay. What was the specific command, Blunty? What about the CLI command? It was a Baro I2C address. Let's see what it has to say. Oh, thank you for complimenting my excellent follow-up question. That is correct. That is correct. I see. So Betaflight will only search for a barometer that responds to that specific address. You can't just assign a random number.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Like there was some...
So you have to know.
On the troubleshooting thing I found, there was some number they had said you could use, and then that number worked for the device. Like, presumably every Baro you have, right, has some address inside of it that if you knew that value, you could type that in, it would connect to only that Baro.
So then if I were to... We're actually going to find a solution to this person's problem. If I type status, can I find out what barometer I've got? Baro equals DSP 310. Okay, go back here. DSP 310 barometer. Well, flip. I mean, okay. Okay, here, if I try 119 or 118 and the barometer still works, I will give Gemini the win here. Okay, so right now, barometer is yellow. Barometer is working. It's Baro. Baro underscore I2C device. No, address. address. I'm going to set this to a random number, 1, 2, 3, and barometer will stop working. We're just confirming that if the number is... What's that? Oh, 119.
Sorry, under 119.
Equals 6, 7. So it should stop working. And if it still works, then maybe what we're doing just doesn't do anything at all. So this should break it. Okay, barometer no longer working. Okay, now Gemini gave me 119 and 118. Actually, I'm going to get one more thing. Hold on. Let's pretend I didn't tell you that it was a DSP 310 Baro. How would I find out what barometer is on my FC? I gave it that. I'm just curious. Let's see if it's what it's gonna tell me. No, tell me to use status. Tell me to type status. This doesn't exist. Get Baro underscore hardware is just gonna. No, I don't think that's true. Let's just check.
Well, it's going to tell you auto.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Auto. Yeah, it just says auto. So that's the wrong answer. So it did not tell me to type status, which is the correct way to find that. So actually, it wouldn't have been able to finish this chain. But anyway, I'm still 118 and 119. And it's even giving me a code snippet. Aren't you clever? Set Baro under ISQC address equals 118. Save. Does the barometer start working again? It does. So it gave me... So, going back to the question from I don't even remember who. You attach the GPS to your flight controller, your barometer stopped working. Figure out what the correct barometer I2C address is for your barometer chip and try manually assigning the I2C address in the CLI, just like I just did, instead of doing auto. And maybe that will make them both work. And I gotta say,
it's the same as always. It's the same as we've said about this forever, right? Like, you have to know what you're doing. Like, it didn't come up with any of this.
Okay, but it did give me the correct address.
Because you asked. So
well, sure.
That's what I'm saying.
But here's my point. Yes, Blunty, I agree. However,
we could have also looked that up on
DSP 310 barometer I2C address beta flight. $0x77. That doesn't. What's 0x7? Okay. Yeah, it's right here. First Google search result. Okay, fine. Yeah. It did, but no, it did. I gotta say, I gotta give it some credit. Like, telling me that the hardware had a specific address, did it do that, or did I? Did you? I can't remember.
I did. I came up with that idea.
No, look right here.
In the first place. And then
it gave me this.
Because you asked about Baro ITC address.
Yes, that's true. It was not useless, is my point. It was not useless.
In the first set of ideas.
No.
I'm saying, like always, it's not useless because we know what we're doing. It would be useless to anyone typing this in because you tried to do those things and they didn't work, and then you had to come up with the CLI.
And it gave me, and it told me to do at least 2, maybe 3 things that are simply impossible.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm saying is, if you're already reasonably smart, it can make you like 15% smarter. But if you're a complete idiot, it will just tell you to do dumb things. Anyway, well, we potentially solved that problem with that person's GPS. So there's always that. And as Islander FPV points out, Google doesn't compliment you. Like, I think Google should be just like, hey, that's a great question. Wow, you're really smart for asking. I wish you could turn that off. I wish there were a way to just say to Gemini, is there a way to say to Gemini for every single time I interact with you, please stop just like randomly complimenting me?
You can add rules in ChatGPT, but it's very bad about ignoring them. I have one that says, if you rate how nice you are in a conversation from 1 to 10 as possibly how nice you are, I want you to be a 4. And sometimes that works. And sometimes it just ignores it. And then I go, did you remember that rule? And then it goes, oh yeah, I forgot about the rule.
Add, show examples. Okay. Add, okay. Don't compliment me on my questions. Just answer them. Is that right? How about just don't compliment me? Don't compliment me. You are a computer algorithm. Your opinion of me is worthless. Your opinion of me means nothing. How about that? Yes!
So I'll tell you.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Plenty.
Like my version of that. Like I said that for a reason, right? Like,
Yeah.
my version of that is, imagine a scale of you being nice from 1 to 10 and then rated a 4, because like I think like simple commands some just don't work. Like you have to get creative, or you have to get more. Like, I'd be interested to see how it behaves now, because it's going to be so trained to compliment you that saying don't compliment me might not really do anything. But if you like trick it into going, well, I could be a 4, and a 4 is acceptable to the user. Like, that's worked for, that's the kind of way I found that worked for me. Yeah, like Super Deluxe, very true. Pretend or imagine are very good words.
Yeah. See, that's a great question. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't think that's a compliment. I don't know. I'll have to work on it. Anyway, let's get back to work. Speaking of work. Not 10th. Thank you for $5. Just purchased Goggles Integra and RC2 for $275. Should I get a Tiny Whoop as my first digital? No. If you're going DJI, minimum 75 millimeter, better 85 millimeter. 1.6 inches okay with the light. 2 inches better. I don't think you should go down into the 65 millimeter, maybe 75 millimeter with the 04 light. 85 is better. So that's what I would say.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Raptor in chat has described the exact issue that I helped somebody else with, and that is exactly what happened. He says, I had an issue with the GEP-RC GPS where the barrel on the GPS and the barrel on the FC was canceling each other out. Oh, I'd already put it up.
Sorry.
Was canceling each other out, and I had to desolder a jumper connection on the GPS to change the I2C address. So this was what it was, is the GPS actually had that little resistor that Gemini told you about that said it could either be 119 or 118 based on the resistor. So some GPSs and some play controllers actually have that resistor present. They can tell you where it is, you remove it, and it changes the address. So then it doesn't conflict with another device.
So there were basically two barometers, and Betaflight didn't know or both barometers had the same ID.
Correct. So if it tried to go to 0, like an auto ID, they were both 119, and they were both getting talked to, and then it would mess up. So you could remove a resistor on one, and it would change it to 118 or whatever it is, right? And then it would be usable because you set it specifically.
Nice. Mo has a great prompt for me. My computer is being... My web browser is... Yeah. Right when my fans started... surging, my Chrome kind of locked up. Discord in Chrome is not happy. It is not efficient. It uses a lot of. Okay, I'm gonna take this instruction from Mo. Focus on substance over praise. Skip unnecessary compliments or praise that lacks depth. Yada yada yada. Okay, let's get rid of this. Delete that. Okay, now let's just try a new chat. I want to make a cake. What type of flour should I use? No, that's a great question. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I have to keep working on that. Do you know what kind of cake I make? I want to make a cake to celebrate my graduation from underwater scuba diving school. That's such a fun and unique reason to celebrate. Congratulations. See, I want that bullshit to go away. You give me a prompt that makes that bullshit go away. It's that this clearly didn't work. Keep trying. Thank you, Notice FPV, for catching my underwater scuba diving joke. That was a joke. That was intentional. You heard about the DIY FPV builder by UAV Futures. I sure have. Let's see if I can remember what my DIY FPV login is. I have a bunch of them because someone made a bunch of accounts. No. I don't. I have to go recover my DIY FPV password to show this. So instead, let's see if I can just find... Yeah, here we go. Stu put out a video about it. So this is a new thing from DIY FPV, which is an interactive FPV drone builder, which basically lets you create a wiring diagram for your drone virtually with a large library of illustrated parts.
That's my Bond impersonation. Anyway, yeah, welcome to the DIY FPV builder. I'm going to put some screenshots on the screen or something, but this site is still in early access, and the builder, it is definitely coming. As you can see, we are very close to pushing this out, building something very, very cool. However, the site being, I guess, as popular and a lot of people asking for it, you would have seen, we are in early access, which means a lot of these other features are live. Builder is what we're working on right now, but we want to push out like the catalog and that. Okay. So you it's going to be, it's not right around the corner. Okay. So.
Yeah, so basically you pick a part and then you draw a wiring diagram. It's pretty slick. To help you plan a build, right? It's always good to plan a build before you, and then also it's just a convenient way of making wiring diagrams. So very nice. Very nice. You really are polluting your stored memory and making it harder for it to help you. I'll add this to your list of project, cake, GPS. What do you mean? Each of those are distinct, aren't they? Are you telling me that all of these different chats interact with each other? No, like, this should just be a completely distinct environment from the others, isn't it? I'm not polluting. I could have as many chats as I want.
You can. I think they're doing something to like let the AI access prior chats, though. I don't know if it's some reason in the background or something, but it does definitely. I mean, at least ChatGPT does. It'll know what you just talked about in different chats, not just in the same chat. It does something to put it in context or references to it in context. So that would pollute context because context would be limited, technically.
Huh. Okay.
But I have no idea what percentage of context they use or how they load it in, you know.
Huh. Damn. Here is me trying to commit tax fraud. I did not succeed, which is why it's safe for me to show this. I wouldn't really commit tax fraud. I was just curious to see if it was possible to get it to generate that. Okay. Continuing on. Is it possible to change models on the new Radiomaster T8L? I don't believe so. I believe the T8L is only single model. That's my understanding. Uh, 1604 motors, 3800 kV for a 3.5 inch. If you're going for efficiency, that feels like a big motor. That feels like a big motor. I always make this mistake, though. No, because like 1404 is a... Yeah, 1604 is... It's only 2 millimeters bigger than a 1404. Yeah. Like, here's the Axis Flying Manta 3.6. What do we got on this one for motors? C206 2750 kV. What is C206? FU. Tell me how big your effing motors are. .06. Oh. Well, that's a big-ass motor. Wow. I guess that motor's not that big compared to this. What about the GIPRC domain 3.6? Um, 2105.5. Oh my gosh. Okay. I take it back. Now these are bigger, heavier drones, but those are much larger motors. I guess 1604 is not that big compared to what people are doing these days. As far as efficiency goes, you're at 3800 kV. These are at 2750. So yeah, this one's at 2750 kV, presumably for a 4S battery. So I think your 3800 kV is going to be more towards speed than efficiency. That's what I would say. I have the Aquila 1.6 FPV kit, and I'm waiting to make an upgrade. Should I get a better radio or upgrade to a 5-inch? The radio that comes with the Aquila kit definitely is the weak spot there. So the Aquila 1.6 Aquila, I believe is the correct way to say that. The Aquila comes with a... This radio is garbage. It's fine that you bought it, and it's fine to use with your very first drone kit because you never bought anything else, and it's fine for the price, but you should immediately upgrade it the minute you decide that you're like gonna stay in the hobby. So 1000% get a new radio, and then think about what your next drone is going to be. Do not get a 5-inch drone and fly it with this crappy radio. This crappy radio is only for one thing, and it's flying this Aquila until it dies. Let's see here. I put together a 3-inch toothpick with an NX69 connector. Can everyone go submit a request to Newbie Drone and bully them into selling a male NX69 connector so I'm not stuck with 300 milliamp hour batteries? It's kind of makes sense that they would sell pigtails with both male and female, huh? No? Okay. All right. Public service announcement done.
Be clear, you could use PH2, right?
Yes, but presumably that's not what he wants to do.
I just want to make sure. Some people don't know that. It's not just NX69. It technically is like made to be compatible with PH2.
Yes, that is correct. Stephen Corley wants to know, can anyone help? I have 3 Happy Model X12 builds dropping the front end when cutting the throttle. I've tried adjusting the braking in the ESC configurator. I don't think you should do that. What other settings should I look at? iTerm. Raise your iTerm. I've turned off anti-gravity. That's the opposite of what you should do. Anti-gravity in Betaflight boosts the iTerm when the throttle moves quickly. So anti-gravity, you could raise anti-gravity so there's more of it. I would try raising anti-gravity, possibly raise the idle speed, and raise the eye gain. That's what I would do. Can I remove the OSD chip on the SpeedyB F405 V3 with a soldering iron? Someone can. If you are going to do that, get this stuff. It's called Quick Chip Quick. Chip Quick is made, like you should use a hot air gun. But if you don't have a hot air gun, use Chip Quick. It is for desoldering surface mount components.
Chip Quick is essentially a low melting point solder that when heated remains molten long enough to release all the pins at once on a surface mount chip. Watch how long this drop stays molten. To desolder a chip, first apply paste flux to the pins, then mix in Chip Quick solder so that it covers all the pins. Now continuously heat all the sides until the chip can be pushed off. You can clean the pads with solder wick, or, as the manufacturer recommends, cotton swabs and lots of flux.
There you go. That's how you can do it. I can't tell if you were asking a silly question, but leave it to me to give a serious answer to a silly question. Why am I getting better range on my EV800D with the same location quad and antennas than the Cobra X V4? Try turning diversity mode to try turning the antenna mode from mix to diversity, and see if that fixes it. Sometimes the antenna mixing algorithm makes things worse, not better. So that's what I would say. That's what I would do if I were in your situation. Fahad says, I'm facing an issue with channel input on my Mambo. Pitch is reversed. Go to the outputs screen. There's two reasons why pitch could be reversed. One is that in the output screen, you have it reversed. Hold on, I have my overhead camera ready to go. I need a radio real quick. We'll use this Zorro I have laying around. Oh, sorry about that. So, interesting. Okay, there we go. What you're going to do is press the model key and page to the outputs screen. And in the output screen, you're going to identify which output is your pitch. Now that's on the Zorro we can do that by looking here, which shows the current channel position. And when I move pitch axis, nothing. You see that doesn't move. When I move the roll axis, it goes to 1,000. So that's cleared the roll. So I'm going to roll down to channel 2. Channel 2. And here, channel 2, I can see that it's moving when I move the stick. So channel 2 is pitch. So now I'm going to edit, and here there is an option for direction, which can either be inverted or normal. If that is inverted, that is why your thing is doing what it's doing. Okay? So then, if that's not it, the other place it could be is in the mixes. In the mixes, your elevator mix could have a weight of -100, and that will reverse the channel. And so you would fix that by changing the weight to 100. Or, if you want, you can just go to outputs and invert the channel, and bing, bang, bong. you're good to go. Hopefully that helps you. Just want to say thanks to you and Blunty. Jeremy P., thank you for a $5 super chat. Wish I could give more. Well, so do I, Jeremy. No, I couldn't resist. Thank you for your donation, man. It's much appreciated. Should I use motor stop on my plane? I don't think there's really any reason to use it on a plane. It would make the motor ramp down faster. Motor stop. Oh, motor stop. So when you go to 0 throttle, it stops. It stops. Sorry, I was confused for a minute. When motor stop, when you go to 0 throttle, the motor will stop spinning. Yeah, that's how planes usually work, right? When you go to 0 throttle, the motor stops and it glides. It doesn't idle. Yes. You should use motor stop on your plane. For ELRS Freestyle, do you think the TX15 Max would hit the right spots for the best radio to get now? Yeah, a TX15 is high up on the list of like great radios to get now. You have to be okay with the size. It's a little bit larger than something like the GX12. And you have to want the big color screen, which presumably you do, or you wouldn't be thinking about buying the TX15. I think it's high up on the list. The main limitation of the TX15 for some people would be the number of switches it has. It has plenty of switches for most people. But if you really got into like a lot of different things, which saying that you just do like freestyle, then probably you're not going to run out of switches. If you do long range, if you do like autonomous builds with RGPilot and you need switches for servos and all kinds of stuff, then maybe the TX15 would fall short for you. But for typical freestyle use, I think it's going to be fine. Is the TX15 an upgrade from the Pocket or just get the AG01 gimbals? TX15 is a completely different beast from the Pocket. The Pocket's main selling point is that it's small. The TX15 is much larger, so like you have to want to make that transition. So L. Leston 8927, I think we should distinguish between motor stop and brake on stop. Motor stop is a Betaflight option where when you lower the throttle, the motors stop spinning. Brake on stop is an ESC option where when the throttle goes to 0, the ESC brakes the motor, and the idea is there that allows foldable props to collapse instead of freewheeling. I agree with you that you should not have brake on stop unless you have a foldable collapsible prop. But motor stop is a different thing, unless he was actually asking about brake on stop, in which case, thank you for pointing out the confusion. Oh, it's getting late. Let's see what time. Oh, only got about 12 minutes left on the stream. I have to check my watch. Oh, yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I feel like if this was more of like a denim band, it would work better. This is a blue sailcloth. It's nice. It's nice. Oh no. Well, I just realized the clasp the buckle doesn't match the case. That's unacceptable. Need a brass buckle here. Oh, that's what's wrong. That's why this hasn't seemed right. Jeez. Oh, this time. Why didn't you guys tell me? I just bought a Vapor X5 and a DJI Osmo Action 4. Is the camera too heavy? No. No, not at all. Vapor X5, a 5-inch drone, can 1000% carry that camera. What? Why would you even ask that? Can a 5-inch drone carry a GoPro? Yeah, of course. I'm like almost insulted. Like, what's happening to the kids these days, Blunty? They don't know you. Can a Gap RC Vapor X5 analog carry a DJI Osmo Action 4 camera? Oh gosh, I hate when that happens. 409 grams, that sounds about right, without the battery. GoPro mount included with the drone, correct. 2207E, that sounds right. I'm not checking this. 145 grams. That is not correct. Standard recommended battery 6S1550 feels heavy to me. Let's see, 6S1550 Luminaire N20. Weight 274 grams. Okay. Okay, I'll give it to you. A little bit. Marginally reduced performance. Still, that's not wildly out. I would like disagree with anything there. Huh. Let's try a harder one. What's the ideal weight for a 5-inch freestyle drone? Yeah, what do you got? That's about right. Oh my God. That's about right. Like, I feel like lightweight's like 600 grams. You're going to, like, realistically, you're not going to hit 600 grams. But like 700 is very doable with no GoPro. And then like 700 to 800 is pretty standard. And over 800 is kind of heavy. That's like dead on, more or less. Yeah. Okay. That's a little, yeah, that's all about right. Okay, well, I'm just going to let Claude Gemini do the live stream from now on. That was all about right. I liked it. But the prop will hit the ground. If the prop was... what I don't understand about this question about motor stop is, if you don't use motor stop, then the motor will still be powered. So when you go to 0 throttle and glide in, the prop will still be under power and it'll hit the ground. You would have to disarm. But I certainly am not an expert on fixed wings, but the way that I have landed fixed wings is you go to 0 throttle, the motor freewheels, and then the plane glides in, but you don't disarm, because if you need to go around, you want to be able to raise the throttle and go around. You only disarm after you touch down, and also you don't disarm because if you have, God forbid, you have landing gear, you're going to need to taxi, right? So you don't disarm. If you're going to belly land the plane, you want the motor to be freewheeling so that when you hit the ground, the prop goes thunk and then hits the ground and it stops moving. But you don't want it powered or it'll just gouge into the ground.
Right, that's why brake on stop would be bad, but motor stop is fine. That's what I was
That's
referring
correct.
to.
I agree.
That's why
I agree.
That's why it's
brake on stop would be bad. Although to be fair, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just saying the message on screen is about brake on stop. Somebody was asking about brake on stop. Okay.
I agree. Right. But brake on stop, even brake on stop, it's not that powerful. The prop would just move. It's not like it's holding it with the strength of 1,000 men. Brake on stop stops freewheeling. That is correct. Yahoo! No! No, what the fuck? I mean, yes, they're influential, but like, I don't think the creator of the original KK board is a current resource. This is oh, that's drone gods. That's true. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Well, I take it back. Gemini knows everything. Gemini is smart. Gemini is super. Did I say Claude Gemini? That's my bad. What did I type? Gemini. Yeah. Thank you for a $20 super chat. Danomite 1980. This is becoming a Corvette-less midlife crisis. I have 20 drones within 18 months and 12 I built. Would you do a review on my better builds? 1 8S, 6S, 4S. Oh, you want me to review your builds? You want me to review your builds? I don't know why. You want me to roast your builds. I'll roast them. I'm not going to review your builds. For various reasons. I will roast them. So if you want me to roast your builds, you let me know. You just put a picture of your build up and I'll roast it. It's fine with me. Stream Ender, Sunshine says, go to a song or genre to listen to when flying by yourself. Go to song or genre to listen to when flying by yourself. Does location or scenery make a difference? So I usually do not have a go-to song or genre to listen to. If I did have a genre, it would be some kind of electronic music. That is usually like I get inspired. I was listening to like vaporwave for a while. Synthwave. It's pretty good. But typically what'll happen is I'll be listening to music and I'll hear a song and go, that would be a good song to fly to. And then I'll just listen to that song. There was a time we had music going on the Bluetooth speaker and I kind of got into a groove and I played the same song like 10 times in a row trying to get a good edit to it. And everybody else was like, hey, Bardwell, could you get some fucking Bluetooth earphones so we don't have to listen to the same song 10 times in a row? But I was having a good time. Yeah. Does location or scenery make a difference? No, I don't think so. I'll have a song in my head that I want to fly to, but I won't have a genre that's my go-to for flying. Colton, I've seen some cheap 5-inch frames on Amazon, like $33 for an Apex Evo from Solo Good. Should I take the chance and risk having it be bad? Okay, 2 answers to that question. First of all, you're taking money out of the pockets of people when you do that. And I say this as someone who recently showed on stream, in case you missed it. I want you to know I'm completely self-aware, and I'm not a hypocrite. I just have different values than may be immediately obvious. Where is... I can't find it. I can't find the photo I took. So, I showed on screen. Hold on, I'm going to find it. On stream. I know I got yeah, there we go. Can I not just open image in new tab? No, I can't. Okay, fine. I showed on stream. I bought this watch. This is a Chinese clone of an IWC Pilot Chrono is significantly less expensive. The original watch, if I bought it from IWC, runs around $7,000. This one was around $500, which is still a lot of money, but way less than $7,000. And so when you ask me, should I buy a clone quadcopter frame, I don't pretend to be someone who is universally morally opposed to buying clone products, clearly. The difference is that, first of all, it's $7,000 versus $500, whereas a brand new Apex Evo frame will cost you $100 and change. So it's roughly 3 times as much, and I think it comes with a warranty, so you get a replacement if you break it. But go look up the details. Don't count on me for that. So actually, if you take advantage of the warranty, the authentic Apex Evo frame is around $50 or $60 because you're going to get 2 of them, whereas the Chinese clone is $33. So you're not saving that much, and so why not give the money? Like if it was $300 for the Chinese clone watch and $600 for the authentic one, I would be like, I'll just buy the authentic one. It's more money, but they deserve my money, you know. But it's like $7,000 for this watch. Never. You are not losing anything because I would never buy it. And there's other issues involved, right? But just speaking simply on this one axis, the creator of the product deserves to be rewarded because they made a product that you desire, and they deserve to be rewarded. And if you think they're charging too much money on some level, you just don't buy it. Buy something else. Is that frame worse than the authentic one? Absolutely. The carbon fiber is cheap and shitty. The carbon fiber from Impulse RC is top-notch. Will you care about the difference? There are many people who have bought that $33 frame and are just fine with it. And maybe they go, oh, this is a great frame. Next time I'm going to buy the real thing. So, like, it's complicated. And the other piece of it is, heck, for $33, how far... Well, let's say it's a piece of shit, and you're like, oh, I wasted my money. Oh, you only wasted $33. So what you got? You know, you learned your lesson. So I would say it's nuanced. Excuse me. It's nuanced. You should buy if you want to spend $30 on a quadcopter frame, buy the TBS Source 1. It is a crowdsourced frame. That is its legitimate price. You're not taking money out of anyone's pocket. And, yeah, you're supporting the right people. But, like, I know what it feels like. This is not that watch. It's the wrong watch. I know what it feels like to look at something and go, oh, I really want that. I really want that. Could I get it cheaper? And I know what it feels like to buy the cheaper option and go, it's not exactly the same thing, is it? It's close. Like, I know I'm walking around with not a real IWC on my wrist. I'm fine with it. Like, I'm not embarrassed. We're talking about it on a live stream, so I'm clearly not embarrassed. When you buy that quadcopter frame, you'll know that you don't have a real Evo. You're not getting the real experience. Maybe someday you'll want that experience. You'll be willing to pay for it. But I would say, if you are thinking about getting the Evo, there's no substitute. The real one is so much better than the $33 one. You know? And just in terms of its finishing, its manufacturing quality, I reckon in terms of its durability. And when you account for the fact that it has like a 2-year replacement warranty, which you'll certainly take advantage of, the price is not as high as it seems. So, all right. Well, that's going to bring us... Oh, we got 30 Polish Slotty super chat. Hi from Poland. It's 4 a.m. here and I'm sick in bed. I feel for you, my friend. My wife is sick right now and miserable. And by all account, you know, there's every chance that in like 3 days I will also be sick and miserable. So, take care of yourself, friend. Metal gimbals for TBS Tango 2 or not for the Pro version? You mean the aftermarket Pyrodrone gimbals? I have heard people say that the upgraded gimbals for the Tango 2 help with the calibration issue. So if you've already got a Tango 2, it might be worth it to get that upgrade. The people who have done the metal gimbal upgrade, the Pyrodrone metal gimbals, seem to like them. So I would say maybe.
I would say spend that money on a better radio.
Well, I didn't want to... Yeah, so Tango 2 is, like, not my favorite radio, but if he has a Tango 2, probably it's because he likes it. So I didn't want to, like, shit on his radio. But thank you, Plenty. It's always good to have you. Which,
They're
to
just
go back...
insanely expensive, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think the CNC folding gimbals are like $160 for the gimbals or something. Like, do not...
You could get a whole... You could get a whole... Is that for real?
That's what I'm saying. Buy a good radio. Yeah, that's... I don't know.
I didn't occur to me that they could... Oh, my God! Oh, yeah, no, man. Like, you could get a whole T15 with AGO2 gimbals for that price. Okay, like, if you just love the Tango 2, people have seemed happy with these gimbals, and some people think that they improve the calibration issue that the stock gimbals have, although I'm not sure how they could. But some people have said that they do.
I believe it's because TBS designed the gimbals themselves, so there was plenty of improvement to make on a new version. That's my understanding.
Oh. So basically,
it's all software based. It's like they made their own version of it. That's why the calibration is so difficult, because they made their own version of a gimbal. Nobody knows why except TBS.
Well,
I believe it's they were able to improve.
Do you know what the reason the gimbals are the way they are?
I can assume. I mean, I can make assumptions, but I don't know why.
So
you may have talked
the
about
gimbals are not electrically connected to the circuit board at all. The gimbals simply set down on 4 pegs, and they have magnets in them, and there's a Hall sensor on the board, right? But the problem is, so first of all, the sensor is not in the gimbal; it's on the board, so it's not like optimally placed. And what happens is, the magnet and the gimbal goes back and forth, but they only put one Hall sensor, is my understanding. So normally you would have one Hall sensor for the x-axis and one for the y-axis, and they would be offset, right? But since they only have one Hall sensor, it has to detect on both the x and the y-axis, and it's bad at that. That's why the calibration is customized. So the idea of having the Hall sensor on the board and the gimbals lift off, that's something that Radio Master did in the GX12, but they did it right. Well, I don't know did they have 2 Hall sensors? I don't know. But the GX12 doesn't have this problem. But you know when it does the whole calculating constants bullshit and it has you go through, that's because they're calibrating the X and the Y with a single sensor, and then it just goes out of calibration all the time. But it does have an advantage. The advantage is that the gimbals just lift right off the board. They're not plugged in or anything. Of course, they only put one Hall sensor, is my understanding, and that's why it's weird. So maybe they should have put 2 Hall sensors or something.
But that's not an advantage to a user, right?
Well, if you have to open the radio or if you have to swap a gimbal, it's kind of nice to, I don't know, I'm kind of making this up, but like you don't have to unscrew anything, it just drops out. If you have to replace the main board, you don't have to disconnect the gimbals. I mean, yeah, mostly it's an advantage during assembly.
We made a new wheel for cars because it's easier to take off. Like I don't know, like it just like nobody needs it. I don't know. I've always said this from the beginning. Nobody needed them. It just made problems. They were limited in rate. They have issues. I don't know. Yeah.
Why did Radio Master do the same thing in the GX12?
I don't know, but it seems to work, so I can't.
Yeah, at least they made it work.
Yeah,
no.
I have a complaint about Tango 2 because it doesn't. It has constant issues. It doesn't have the same
update
rate.
They go out of calibration constantly.
Yeah.
And I say this with absolute confidence. Like I say, I have a lot of contacts in the industry and in the hobby. I know people who run operations with 10 or 15 people, 10 or 15 pilots. I know some people who run training programs where they put 30 or 45 people through their program a year, and they use Tango 2s. And generally, I can say with a high degree of confidence that the Tango 2s go out of calibration like over the course of a 2-week class with 10 or 12 people in it, 2 or 3 of those will have to be recalibrated. You'll calibrate them all at the beginning of the class, and then before the end of the class, 2 or 3 of them will need recalibration, maybe more. And somewhere someone from TBS is like, well, that's because you can't get a magnet next to them, or that's because you can't bang them on the and I'm like, I don't know. All I know is my freaking AGO1s don't do that. Never have to calibrate them. So, yeah, anyway. I say with high confidence that this calibration issue with the Tango 2 gimbals is a real issue. Anyway. Oh, man. That's going to do it. We are going to wrap this live stream up. It is possible that next Sunday we will not have a stream because I will be coming back from taking my wife on a date to Atlanta to see Jason LaDagna do card magic up close. However, if that falls through and I'm available on Sunday, we'll do a stream. But for now, assume no stream next Sunday. We're back on Monday. And through the end of the year. So, that's it. Bye, everybody. Good night. Thanks for coming. Bye, Blunty.
Bye.